Time once again for another One More and I'm Out of Here podcast coming to you from the One More and I'm Out of Here studio. Or, well, I'm sorry, it's the Illegal Shift studio. That's right. And I just renamed the studio.
It's both studios.
All right. And hi, everyone. Glad to be here. I'm Dan Carroll. Let's open a beer. And too bad you weren't here just before we went on the air. As this guy to my right was
What'd I do?
regaling us with stories about his prowess with the ladies.
I didn't. His prowess. Prowess.
But I do have a bone to pick with you, Pappas.
I'm glad we waited till the show started.
Well, I want this to be a genuine conversation.
Okay.
Is all I'm saying.
Don't
you think our viewers and listeners deserve that?
Sounds like a genuine confrontation. What's your bone you want to pick?
No. Over the weekend,
yes,
I was looking at some of the news coverage of what happened on Friday in the Oval Office, and I was forming some different theories when I heard that there was, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but that there was a brief meeting with Zelensky and some anti-Trumpers and some Democrats before the meeting that may have played a part in that. But I was bouncing some ideas off of some of my regular guests on my show, and I included Pappas in on this, and his responses were little more than one-word answers. In fact, they were one-word answers. So I was a little bit bent out of shape out of that.
I think they were two-word answers.
So I went out for a walk. And
brevity is the soul of wit.
As luck would have it, I ran into another former girlfriend of Pappas's. And so, I mean, she pretty much unloaded on what the current situation was. And
so you got your
material. So I mean, she was able to expound in the areas where Andrew was not able to expound. So let's roll that video that I shot. And another friend of Andrew's.
Do it again
I'm an American citizen.
Very important stuff.
And I support the Ukraine. What President Trump and his sidekick, J.D. Vance, the vice president, did this week was shocking and shameful. President Zelensky, many of us here who are average citizens in the United States, we support you. We know that Russia is really at fault here and that our Oompa Loompa is in his pocket. And for that, I know I am very sorry. And I am sorry that you're still having to deal with
this
war.
Jason, you're complicit.
All right, I think we get the idea.
You're complicit.
So
she's changed a lot.
So she told me she was the founder of what's that Anderson Township website you're on all the time? With the Flavians.
Oh, you mean the uncensored page? The shitty uncensored page run by some.
How many mullet fish you think she could fit in that gin?
That's just cold.
Jesus Christ!
Listen,
fucking Dan said that to me. Now,
if you're not going to give me perspective, I got to go find it from other people.
So, Jason, you're equally as complicit. Is this going to be like a theme on the show? Screw Pappas. Let's just screw Pappas.
You don't come in as the nicest person all the time.
What does that mean? I'm a ray.
Anybody that knows you knows what that means.
I am a ray of sunshine.
You're going to come to this podcast. Got to put your big boy pants.
Don't worry. I'm not bent out of shape about it. I was just trying to remember what she used to look like because she's changed a lot.
Man, she looked different.
She's got a gullet.
Let that be a warning to anyone who breaks up with Pappas. That's
I've never seen a human.
That's
being.
What your future looks like.
I've never seen a human being that will mimic a pelican ever in my life, but now we just did.
Hey, listen, that's mean. I'm sure she's trying.
I'm sure she's a nice lady.
I'm sure she's on Ozempic or something. I'm sure she's a nice lady.
Yeah, but I think her political insight was pretty right
on the money. She really is. I love how they're returning to. If you've noticed the social media, everyone's like, I hear orange. It's funny, especially like the local news sites are just infested with liberals. So if you make a comment, they're like, "You and your orange Jesus," and I go, "No, it's Orange Julius. They're at all the malls." And she's like. They're like,
I used to love me some Orange Julius.
Weren't they great?
Oh, they were fantastic.
Back in the day, you go to the mall with some quarters to go play some arcade games.
Oh, refreshing.
Orange Julius. Yeah, they were good. I wonder if any are still open. Probably. You know what?
A-Town Natty said Dan needs to have audio of his call Saturday from Sue. What's that mean?
Oh yeah, Sue. Yeah, she was a real treat.
Somebody sent me an email or a message about Sue. They want to know if it was the Sue that I know here in Anderson. I said it could be. Dan, do you have 2 phones now? Is there a bat phone? Did you go back to your backup phone?
No, I've got my new phone, and I still need this one because the app. It has an app on it that I need.
Oh, okay. You didn't put it on the new phone.
You
yet.
haven't translated. You haven't
I haven't done it yet.
Oh my
Technology.
God.
So at your house,
He's had that phone for a month.
Let me ask you a question. Most things at your house, are they still flashing 12, or is someone taking care of that?
The microwave was today.
Excellent. Yeah.
I think there was a power outage.
Paula, take care of that.
Paula, fix that.
I'm the one that fixes that.
Oh, Mr. Technology.
Yeah.
That's what I think of.
He can do a microwave.
He can do. I doubt it.
Do a microwave like champ.
Express.
So, all right. So we covered a lot of what happened Friday.
Yeah.
That fucking diatribe of bullshit, and the diatribe just got worse.
Oh yeah.
Over the weekend, and you had the Democrats saying that Trump and JD Vance, they're calling
Well, they said he ganged up. Remember?
Ganged up. Yeah, ambushed. Ganged
Now,
up.
how many pictures do we have to share of the Biden White House with Kamala sitting there? I mean, that's pretty much a standard deal. But no, it was they ganged up.
They ganged up on.
Ambushed.
Even though what most people saw was a little snippet, because I literally watched the whole thing today.
Right.
I didn't watch all of it on Friday.
40 minutes.
Yeah. And they were having a great conversation, talking. But then I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but you could tell that fucking Zelensky, his body language, his mannerisms, he was not having it, right? So I think that's when this is Jason's opinion and Jason's opinion alone, but that's when JD fucking jumped in because they were having a good conversation, but I think something was said beforehand. And we have reports that there was a meeting with Zelensky and it was a bipartisan meeting, but a lot of Democrats apparently had touched base with him, telling him not to sign the mineral deal.
Well,
did you guys hear the same thing?
I've got the New York Post story on this right in front of me. And before meeting President Trump, Zelensky met with anti-Trump Democrats who advised him to reject the terms of the mineral deal that the president was offering, according to Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat, Connecticut.
Right.
Just finished meeting with President Zelensky here in Washington. He confirmed that the Ukrainian people will not support a fake peace agreement where Putin gets everything he wants. And there are no security arrangements for Ukraine. Murphy's office posted this on X at 11:15 a.m. Friday. He attached a picture of Zelensky at a conference table with Murphy seated on the opposite side. 40 minutes later, Zelensky arrived at the White House where Trump met his car, smiled, shook his hand, and walked him into the Oval Office.
You know that Zelensky was actually 30 minutes late for that as well. That had something to do with maybe Trump being pissed off.
That could be.
Yeah.
It's not, and generally speaking, not good form to keep the no matter who the president is.
Correct.
You don't keep the president waiting.
But we've heard multiple times that if you're not prompt with Trump,
He gets pissed.
yeah, you're done.
Well, I mean, that's just look.
And that should be with anybody, to be honest with you.
This report from a Democrat source is a Democrat senator that was there, so I have no reason to doubt it. Okay, it's not a Republican MAGA guy reporting this, and the reason, you guys know that when these things are when heads of state come over to sign these things, the details are already worked out. I mean, they've already been agreed upon, and he wouldn't be coming over here to sign it if it wasn't. It's not like that he was going to read it in the other room and then they were going to negotiate it. It had been pre-negotiated. Per Rubio said this was a done deal. So Zelensky came over here and he took a calculated risk. He listened to the Democrats and whatever Trump Republicans might have been in there, or moderate Republicans. And he took a chance. And personally, I think that most people rational people that don't want to that hate Trump at all turns us make this a Trump deal. I think that he shit the bed. And I think this is going to backfire on him big time. Now, over the weekend, as Jason alluded to, Europe, he went over to Britain. And Jason, how much did he get from Britain?
$2 billion,
Which
$2 billion US.
Right. So that's not very much money.
Not
in
compared
to this war. And to be fair, you know, the Europeans who have really ignored for a large part this problem per se, because this was their deal. This was on their doorstep. But to date, the United States had been taking the lead on this Ukrainian issue. I'm concerned from this perspective. I believe the UK Prime Minister, if you read the article, it says that they're going to provide air and troops.
Yes.
So
let me find it.
And a lot of Europe is saying, you know, France, Macron has said much the same thing, which I don't know what the French are. Their fighting prowess, I think, can be kind of questioned, but whatever. And that's a dig at the French. But I'll say this. What happens, because these are NATO members. So if the EU is there, France, Germany, Britain, and their troops are attacked, how is that going to work out with the mutual defense part of NATO? See, that's where I'm kind of concerned.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's extremely frustrating to me, and Andrew, let me ask you to do me a favor.
Yeah, reply more promptly to your text.
No, read out loud this headline I just pulled up here, and note the source, if you would, please.
Well, this is CNN. Mm-hmm. Must I read something from CNN?
Just read the headline there, and we can talk about it.
Russia says it's open to economic cooperation with the U.S. on rare earth minerals and energy.
So this piece was posted on Monday, February 24th. That was before the meeting at the White House. Yeah. So you look at this, and when you say Russia says it's open, that's Putin.
Yeah.
Putin says he's open to economic cooperation, rare earth mineral deal with the United States, and not opposed to a deal between Russia and Ukraine on rare earth minerals. So you already had this, to my way of thinking, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but this is a major sign of cooperation between Russia and the United States. Mm-hmm. And this is a major step towards getting Putin to the negotiating table. Mm-hmm. And this, again, is just a starting point. But does this have the potential to lead to something else, namely ending the war and finding a diplomatic solution to what's going on between Russia and Ukraine?
No, I think you're exactly right.
So, you know, I'm so tired of hearing that, and there's a pretty solid block of conservative thinkers out there who are, I don't want to say they're reciting DNC talking points, but the DNC talking points this weekend was that Trump is now siding with Putin and becoming a stooge for Vladimir Putin.
It's not correct.
Again,
that's not correct at all.
I know it's not correct.
And that was the talking points before.
But there are some conservatives who are parroting that as well.
Well, I think that it's important to note that Lindsey Graham, who was really he was
God, I wish I'd have pulled that video.
That's all right. But Lindsey Graham, who was Zelensky's biggest supporter, bar none. Lindsey Graham.
I think the term cocksucker is
Rhino
more appropriate.
Rhino cocksucker sounds good.
He was Zelensky's Kamala. Is that what you're saying? Is that
catcher? Is that what you said?
The drinking bros call him Leslie Graham.
Well, Lindsey Graham even saw, and did you? I mean, most importantly, we discussed it. You know, Lindsey Graham. He lost Lindsey Graham. Now to lose Lindsey Graham, you've really screwed up. And I think that the future for Zelensky is limited at best. And we discussed on the show Friday, you know, the MP for Ukraine called for impeachment or hearings to start happening in Ukraine. Now that's not going to happen. I think Zelensky has pretty much undisputed total power in Ukraine. But, you know, like we talked about, if the Europeans step up, and this is their problem more than it is our problem. Now, Jason, we have a slide on the photo on the total support for Ukraine and the money involved, the totals. I think it's important to note that even though Europe is stepping up, they cannot match the funding that the United States has been giving. I mean, look at those numbers. Now, what you got to look at is, see, that's a percentage of, and this is broken down: military, financial, and humanitarian aid. Okay, notice the humanitarian aid is of everything is pretty darn small, but look at the numbers. Don't look at the percent, because the percent on some of them get more than ours. But look at just 119 billion, and the next one EU institutions is 52, and then UK is just 15. I mean, that's not a lot of money.
Well, they're getting ready to be their big brother.
And France, another one that was trumpeting, they're at 5. I mean, 119 compared to 5. So I think that, although I'm not happy with where we're at, let's place blame where blame is due. Zelensky overreached, came in here, and as JD Vance properly pointed out, he was seeking to debate this in front of the cameras in the Oval Office.
Did it the wrong way.
And was being very disrespectful. And the Democrats will say Trump provoked it. I think that Zelensky provoked it, and that is what it is. We're never going to agree, but we are where we are right now. And I think Trump is trying. I think Trump is genuinely concerned with having peace. And I don't think he's Putin's puppet by any stretch of the imagination, but having the dialogue, which was occurring before this whole thing, as Dan pointed out, how else are you going to get Russia to the table? How else are you going to have a conversation with Russia? What are we going to just fight with Russia? I mean, that's a nuclear power who has discussed using nukes.
That's a dumb fucking.
I don't want it. Listen, I'll be frank. I'm going to be right out there. I don't want to fight with Russia. All right. I don't want there to be a United States-Russian conflict that could spiral out of control, and China's just sitting there licking their chops the whole time, thinking, okay, well, now, if the U.S. is tied up in some sort of conflict here that's going to chew them up, we might have to, I don't know if it was, we might have to be able to make a move on Taiwan, and there's nothing they're going to be able to do about it. You got to think ahead at what all this stuff means. But I love how warish and hawkish the Democrats all of a sudden, we got to fight in Ukraine. Well, you know what? I saw a great thing today. It said, if you have changed your little, your little picture to I support, remember everyone's having I support Ukraine.
Everyone put the Ukraine flag on their social media.
Those go enlist.
There's
go sign up.
There's
Ukraine will take you.
There's a big podcast, Donut Operator. It's a big podcast that's connected with Failure to Stop, or was connected with Failure to Stop, whatever. But they've got a huge following, and the guy posted on some Instagram, and he was like, anybody that posts that on their Facebook, that flag, I will buy your full kit. I will raise money to get you a plane ticket, and I'll get you a gun. So that way you can go fucking fight.
Well, you won't even need that.
Quit being a fucking
as we've shown the
is
video.
What he said.
As we've shown the video, we'll just pay you to get to Ukraine. You can walk down the street and they'll find you. And guess what?
Apparently,
they'll find you and they'll grab you and they'll put you in a van, and you'll be a conscript in the Ukrainian army. And JD Vance was exactly right about that. There is even a story we're not sharing today because it's so disturbing, of some of the people that Ukraine has sent to the front lines. And it's very, very disturbing. Yes, they have a big problem. They are running out of people. This war is terrible. And, I don't understand why there's a group of people in this country, I guess maybe just to hurt Donald Trump, think that this war should go on and on. And it's almost as long. We're going on. I mean, as I asked you guys before when I was out of town, how long was World War II, gentlemen? Started in 1941.
Well,
for the United States.
For the United States,
1941, it started for the United States. Finished up in when?
1945.
That's 4 years,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Doing the
4
math.
That's
4
kicking
years.
ass and taking names.
Well, I understand.
Yeah.
That was a world war. This war is going on 3.5 years, and with no sign of ending.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just no, I'm not bitching about it. Oh no. You know what? I will say this. If Zelensky because Musk doesn't wear a suit either, but he wears a jacket.
Oh, here, hold,
If Zelensky, well, I'm just replying to some moron.
I know, but I was going to cover. I was going to cover that too.
Okay, I mean, so we'll get to that.
Donald Trump actually said he's okay with it. He was like, he's fine.
Yeah, but
he's fine.
I mean, I'll be perfectly fair.
Is it the way I would do it? No, it's not. It's not the way I would do it.
You mean dress?
Yes.
Well, I mean, look, I don't think it's asking a
Donald
lot.
Trump.
He can throw a jacket on, throw a black jacket on over his little
the dressing. I don't give
SWAT
a
outfit.
fuck about his fucking smug ass attitude in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
Yeah,
That's what I have an issue.
I agree with that, but I mean,
I don't give a fuck.
Here's the deal: he's in the highest office of the land, in the most powerful country on the planet. A sport coat is not a big deal. I mean, go for the Miami Vice look. You know, the sport coat with the t-shirt on underneath it. Just throw a sport.
But the fact that Trump said, because he fucked with him when he got out of the fucking
that's
limousine.
what I mean. He did. And
he fucked with him. He's like, oh, you dressed up for it.
up.
All right, cool. But then when Marjorie Taylor Greene's fucking boyfriend made his statement, why didn't you wear a suit? Do you own a suit? He sounded like a fucktard as well, just for full disclosure. But the fact that after that,
David J's right. It did start in 39, but not for the United States. Didn't enter World War II until 41.
But after that, Trump, like during that, after that little conversation, the questions, he was like, he's fine. He's fine. I like how he's dressed. He's fine.
Yeah. Right. But I mean,
so it's fine. So like that's over. That's over and done with. It's just not the way I would have done.
No, it just shows a little bit of respect. If he just throws a sport,
he doesn't have respect because guess what? The former administration just fucking did whatever he wanted to.
Right.
So he thought he could wear his jams into the White House.
Well, he addressed the joint session of Congress dressed the same way.
And they thought it was great. So
they ate that shit up because guess what? They're not fucking respectful.
Yeah, like he's sorry, I didn't have time to change. Just came from the front lines.
You know what I do like.
I'll be going back there.
I'm going back to one of my 15 mansions that I got in fucking Ukraine somewhere that hasn't been blown up, which is weird.
I've heard reports about that. I don't know how true those are, but I will say this, that we do have reports that Tucker Carlson ran with, and Tucker Carlson, like him or hate him, is a pretty renowned journalist that tends to do his research. That Zelensky and the Ukrainians have been selling equipment that we've sold them, that we've not sold them, but given them for 20 cents on the dollar on the black market. And a lot of bad people have those weapons now. Need I remind you, we have documented reports that there are anti-aircraft missiles that have been smuggled into the United States, and they're concerned about the president flying around because the cartel has access to these missiles now. So I'm generally concerned. The world is definitely a much more dangerous place, and whatever. I mean, we are where we are, and the world is going to find out who was right, who was wrong with this. I don't see how Ukraine can keep on going because they really are running out of people, and at some point, he's going to have to make a deal for peace. And I think that having the United States at his side on those negotiations is the best way to go. And I don't know that Europe, whatever. Maybe Europe is the right way. We'll find out really quick.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard put out a little video over the weekend, just to a little reminder about who we're dealing with when it comes to dealing with Zelensky in Ukraine. And, she's the head of the DNI now, so I think she's probably got some pretty good insight.
Not a hardcore Republican either.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say so. I mean, it's just someone who loves who loves America.
Which is going to throw some people way off because she's not a diehard.
And someone who's got a pretty good reputation, no matter, if she's Democrat or Republican, for telling it like it is.
Yeah.
And so here she is sizing up Zelensky.
Here is something that the political establishment and propaganda media don't want you to know. Ukraine's President Zelensky has just banned yet another political opposition party, one that questioned his legitimacy as president, and used Ukraine's Department of Justice to mandate the seizure of this party's members' assets. Now, this is just the latest of Zelensky's actions to do this sort of thing. He began banning major political opposition parties in 2022. When he also started banning TV channels that were associated with his political opponents. And he took over total control of Ukraine's largest television networks, now controlled by their government. Zelensky's presidential term ended on May 20th. He canceled elections in the name of martial law, suspending Ukraine's constitution so that he could stay in power. Now, defenders of Zelensky will say, hey, Ukraine is in the middle of a war. They can't have elections. Just stop for a moment and think, if we accept that excuse or criteria for suspending the Constitution and canceling elections, then we should presume that leaders in our own country and our own establishment media will also use this same excuse and rationale when they suspend our Constitution and our elections, since we too are at war with Russia and China. If you think this sounds crazy, look at what's already going on. They've already started conditioning us to accept a dictatorship by rationalizing their own use of our Department of Justice to target President Trump and other political enemies in their efforts.
You'll have that.
So I think she makes some good points there, and things that we don't talk about all the time is how he has taken over the media in his country, got rid of television stations, news outlets that he didn't care for, and then now him and his party run the biggest and most powerful television station in all of Ukraine.
You know what I do enjoy? Have you noticed the plethora of videos about that have popped up of him before he got elected? What, like him performing what he used to do on TV?
Dude, it's,
I mean, that one in the red where he's doing that little belly dance shit is so creepy. It's not even funny. And that's not that long ago. And then the one with him with the boobs. You seen that one?
Yeah, I did see that one. I mean, you do you. I mean, that's fine with whatever.
I mean, but this is their leader. And don't forget, remember all the churches that he went and closed down because they were talking shit about him. So he went and raided the churches and closed down and threw the priests into jail.
And again, shut down elections to where he can't be pushed out. But then as soon as, and I haven't heard anything after Friday where they were his what they call it, the fucking parliament or whatever, where they were looking at impeachment. But I haven't heard anything yet that come out of that, whether it's happening or not. But I mean, there's so much bullshit with this in the fact that Trump and fucking Vance are getting blasted.
Well, I don't think they're getting blasted.
No, they are. I mean, they're getting
blasted by the left, and the left would use any. I mean, they could take a dump and they would get blasted. So let's be fair. This is nothing more than the left using this story to further their hatred of Trump. But a lot of people, I wouldn't say that I consider. I mean, Lou Holtz. You see what he said?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Lou Holtz came out and said, this is, he's praising Trump and Vance because he said this is what strong leadership looks like. And he acknowledged the fact. And I don't think that I would call Lou Holtz a big conservative by any stretch. I've heard a lot of things that he said in the past, very pragmatic kind of guy. And I'm not saying that, Lou Holtz is somebody.
Since they were supposed to have elections, by the way.
But hey,
he canceled them. Just
listen,
so you're aware.
Well, I mean, listen, we had elections during World War II.
Yeah.
The United States held one. Now, this is supposedly written into their constitution. I don't know who placed it into their newly adopted constitution, but he doesn't want elections. He is. I'm not going to necessarily. I don't know that he falls under the clinical definition of the word dictator, but he certainly is using dictatorial powers here to stay in office. And he was selected by a oligarch in Ukraine to run for office because he had name ID, because he was on TV dancing around in red things
right.
and with fake boobies on, and the people knew his name.
He
had no political experience because he was nothing more than a performer. I mean, that's what he was. He was a performer, and he, it could be very easily said he's doing nothing more than performing right now. So whoever's pulling his strings, whoever is telling him what to do, whoever is advising him on what positions to take, I think needs to step back and say, we cannot keep. They're just running out of people.
I love the fact that a president of a country the size of Texas, is essentially telling the president of the United States how or what he should be doing. How about you just go over and handle your shit then?
Or,
Don't talk to us. Don't talk to us anymore. And guess what? You are probably maybe 2 handfuls of people that have gotten kicked out of the White House.
let me ask you a
Maybe
question.
2 handfuls. I
you-
don't know. Maybe less.
Do you know what the average age of a Ukrainian soldier is right now today?
I think it's 45.
It's over 40,
Yeah.
around 40 years old.
Yeah.
That's not a way to wage war.
No.
And we
I mean,
had
it's not-
a video that we weren't going to play, but I'll explain it. Is the fact that there's a Down syndrome kid
That's the video we didn't want to share.
sitting in a trench,
Right.
with guys that are, you can tell by the voice, that are older, and they're fucking with him, and then they make it sound like a fucking bomb's coming in, and this poor kid fucking just goes and goes and eats shit.
Let us not. Someone just made a comment.
These are the people.
I want to straighten out. Listen, Russia was the aggressor in this war.
Sure.
No question. There's no question about it. Russia is not right in what they did. Should we do the comma thing? So you had a big country, Russia.
That's a big one.
Because let's talk so he could understand. So you had this really big country, Russia, that attacked a very small country called Ukraine. And that's bad. That's not good. That's bad.
According
So
to
maybe
Somalia, yeah.
maybe 513 will understand. But at the end of the day, look, but we are where we are right now. So, what does that mean? Russia invaded Ukraine. Yes, wrong. Russia's stronger than Ukraine militarily. I think that Biden contributed in the fact that Russia was able to and thought it was okay to invade Ukraine, which it did not do under Donald Trump. Let's point that out too, if you want to be accurate in your assessments. And at the end of the day, here we are. So how are you going to end? How are you going to end the conflict? Are you going to continue to fight with a nuclear power and drag more countries into it and threaten? Is going back to the original border? Will Russia tolerate going back to the original borders of Ukraine? I don't know. They will. They have claims on those disputed areas. Or do you try to negotiate a settlement and a negotiated peace? I don't know. I would lean towards negotiate a peace that, Ukraine will clearly, it's been decided by the powers that be, and I think rightfully so, Ukraine will have to give up some territory. And for that, if they had partnered with the United States on this mineral deal, you would have, as we discussed, United States companies, assets, personnel in country that would then serve as a buffer for any further aggression. But hey, man, I mean, we are where we are right now.
So I do want to address, and not specifically, but the fact that with that meeting Friday and the way it got fucking drawn out, that was a mineral deal fucking meeting. They were supposed to sign a mineral deal, go to lunch, call it a day, and Zelensky decided to start fucking talking about the fucking war. That's something that goes on behind closed doors. It should, in my opinion. Now, it didn't. Trump said, hey, we're working and we're trying, but Zelensky's fucking big deal is he wants to get Ukraine into fucking NATO. He wants them into NATO, and Trump was not going to have any part of that, especially on live TV. I'm not bringing you in, and I'm not going to say, yeah, you're my buddy. I got you right now. That's a dumb move. That's stupid. Conversations have already been had, and if you think they haven't, you're ignorant. Shit that we don't know, that the news doesn't even fucking cover. Conversations are being had. I think Zelensky played bitch pool that night or that afternoon on Friday and kind of shot himself in the foot, because Trump and Putin, yes, they can talk. They may not like each other, or they may like each other. I don't know. I don't care.
I don't care either.
I don't give a shit, but they have a dialogue. Zelensky and Putin don't have a fucking dialogue, obviously. So guess what? You need to call fucking Uncle Donald in, or whoever, whatever you want to say. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, Biden certainly didn't have a dialogue going on with Russia. And the only dialogue he had going on with Ukraine was, where do we send the next batch of weapons and money? But I mean, I really think, and I was, you know, this is one of the things I was bouncing off Pappas over the weekend. That when you look at the Democrats, I really think they are so depraved. I really think that
they don't want the war to end.
They don't want the war to end
because there's more fucking money coming to their pockets.
And I think they want Americans to die in Ukraine.
I think that
I really think they do.
I don't know if that. I mean, I don't know if I'll go there. I don't know if they do, but I will say this: if you think that the money that we're sending Ukraine is somehow not filtering back to Democrat pockets, then I've got a bridge to sell you.
I think
given as historically documented corrupt that Ukraine is, the most corrupt country almost on the planet. It's well known how corrupt Ukraine is with kickbacks. It's just a normal way of doing business. If you somehow think that money is not coming back, now here's the deal: Europe or at least Britain, with France tagging along, have ponied up some smaller amounts of money and pledged men and material. Canada, I saw that Castro's bastard is getting involved. I think that we're going to see if this strategy works. If Europe is going to actually send their resources in men and material to Ukraine and risk the lives and have them being drawn into a conflict directly with Russia, I think that's going to be the put up or shut up time. What I hope happens is cooler heads prevail, and they say, listen, we don't really want to send our men and material in country to Ukraine and risk their lives. It's one thing to send jets there and have the Ukrainians fly them. It's another thing to have British pilots flying sorties in Ukraine against Russians. So I hope that what will happen is at the end of the day, we're going to find in the very near future, if it's not occurring already, that we're in negotiations with our European allies to end this war in some way, shape, or form. And I'm sad that Zelensky came over here, maybe got a shot of testosterone injection before he came, and somehow listened to the Democrats that said, no, you don't need this deal. Walk away from it. You're in a position of power. How can a debtor go to a bank and think that he's in a position of power? How is that possible? I mean, I'm going to walk into my bank if I had a loan and be like, hey, man, I'm going to tell you what it is. You're going to give me more money or else I'm out of here. I mean, like, oh, really? Really? What's the bank going to say?
Cincy513 says, find some evidence of that accusation.
What about Ukraine being the most corrupt country on the planet?
No, not that. No, about probably about what I said about I think the Democrats want Americans to die in Ukraine.
I don't know that I would say that. I would say that historically Democrats have been anti-war. I do find it funny that they're very
but when it suits their purposes, they're not anti anything.
I think they're pro-conflict from the point of view as they enjoy the money still. They enjoy the gravy train and the money still going over there so it could come back here. And much the way they're pitching a shit fit that all these NGOs, that it has been documented that the NGOs have been giving money back to Democrat candidates are pissed off that USAID is going away. Because, again, that was another gravy train for money coming back to Democrat candidates and the Democrat Party. Whatever. Like it or not, it's factually been documented. And like I said, maybe we shouldn't. I think that my heart does go out to the Ukrainian people in the way that, Russia did start this. And Russia, when the Russians bombed that apartment building and all those people got killed and they're targeting civilian targets with missiles, that's horrible. That's no way to fight. We stopped doing, even though the Allies in World War II perpetuated a lot of bombings on civilian targets, we stopped that after World War II. The carpet bombing, the total destruction of cities, the taking the fight to the civilian population, city against city. The United States, the Allies stopped that after war, or at least we in warfare we got back to maybe not doing that and steering clear of civilian damage because the civilians weren't the combatants per se. I just think that hopefully, like I said, we'll see what happens in the very near future. I think we have a matter. The fighting season is coming up there. It's like hunting season almost. The winter's grinding to a halt.
It actually is.
And it'll be a soggy spring, which doesn't move well for for moving tanks and heavy equipment around. But once summer gets there and it's nice and dry, it's a beautiful season for tank battles and movement of large amounts of troops. I hope that a deal is done in the very short future.
I hope it is too, and I really think if they would have gotten this deal done, if Zelensky signs this with the reporting we had days before of Putin open to and ready to agree to a minerals deal. Look, and rare earth minerals are the hot commodity, the hottest commodity in the world right now. Everybody wants them. That's what's going on in Afghanistan. China has moved into. I mean, that was one of the biggest blunders on behalf of Joe Biden was the way he surrendered in Afghanistan to the Taliban.
Yeah,
because that enabled China to move in.
That military genius, Joe Biden.
Yeah. And co-opt. And Afghanistan has a shit ton of rare earth minerals. Mm-hmm. So if they would have done this deal, and you couple that with Putin already signaling that he is open to a deal as well, I think today, had Putin signed, not Putin, but Zelensky signed that deal, I think today we'd be hearing about a ceasefire already.
I think we would.
I think we would too. And I think we'd be hearing about, the early parts of maybe a three-way summit with maybe Trump going to Moscow, or maybe the three of them meeting in, I don't know, so Switzerland or someplace. I don't know. But I think that's the kind of progress that we would have been making already. And so this is just my theory when I say that the Democrats want Americans to die in Ukraine. Think if Trump would have been able to pull this off.
Oh, it'd have been.
I mean, we're talking Nobel Peace Prize. Right. And do you think? Can you think?
Nope, and nope.
No, he wouldn't have got it.
He wouldn't have got it.
I'm just saying we would have been talking. That's what the talk would have been.
We would have been talking about. But
do you think for
the Cincy's and everybody else on the other side?
Do you think for 1 second that Nancy Pelosi and Dick Durbin and Chuck Schumer is going to stand by while Trump goes and gets a Nobel Peace Prize? I mean, no way.
Fuck no.
They cannot let that happen.
No, fuck no.
Because they want to undermine Trump every possible way. And so if you follow this strategy out to the end, and you somehow hold sway over Zelensky, and you convince him to stonewall when it comes to doing a deal with Trump. Well, now what's the specter that we have now? All these European we just talked about it. All these European nations saying they are going to align and they're going to, I guess somehow take the place of the United States. Well, I mean, good luck with that. Some of these European countries, their total GDP doesn't amount to the amount of money that we spent in Ukraine.
Right.
So
we take three times bigger dumps than what they fucking do. And all of a sudden now the UK Prime Minister says, okay, we're gonna be the forefront. And we are talking about potentially throwing aircraft, personnel, boots on the ground to throw into Ukraine.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to get the United States to kind of back us.
And you're talking about NATO countries. So if you're going to get NATO countries involved in the killing and their troops start getting killed over there, that increases the likelihood that the United States get drawn in.
That's what I was saying. What happens?
So that's why I'm saying
this is why Zelensky's a fucking piece of shit.
That's why I'm saying that the Democrats, make this. I think there's a very real possibility that this is the way they are thinking about this.
I think that
that if Americans start dying in Ukraine, it is over for Trump, and that is going to be a very difficult thing for him to overcome.
You know what?
And that will be the only thing we hear about as far as it relates to Trump during this the remainder of his administration.
Give me 1 second, Andrew. I'm going to share one of Cincy's comments on the screen.
Are you trying to drive me nuts? I thought we had
this is good.
I thought we had a standing rule.
If Trump, and I'm assuming he's talking about Trump, if he negotiates peace, give him the prize. If he sells out Ukraine to his buddy Putin, call it the bullshit that it is. I will call that the bullshit that it is. I don't think that's not what he wants to do.
No, I don't think so.
That is by no means, and that could have been done fucking Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Had Zelensky fucking come in with the right fucking attitude,
Well, or the intent to sign,
the intent to sign.
the intent to follow. Listen, like I pointed out before, this deal was done. Zelensky was just there for the cameras to sign the deal and everyone move on. But then he came in, he met with some Democrats and probably some non-MAGA type people. And they said, don't do the deal. So there he is. He didn't do the deal. He walked away from it and then tried to
because
litigate
he's listened to the fucking Dems
right.
that he's been dealing with for the last 4 years that gave him everything that he wanted.
And then he tried to litigate it in front of the cameras in the Oval Office. And that pissed off Trump. Not initially, but after 40 minutes, like you said. So, hey, good luck.
It was an ill-advised gambit.
He gambled and he lost. Good luck. I hope the Europeans have the stomach, but Dan's right. I am concerned what happens when a British pilot gets killed, British soldiers get killed, French soldiers get killed, and then they try to invoke that,
Article
NATO,
25.
That's right. That attack against NATO is attack against everyone.
I think it's Article 25.
Something, whatever. It's going to be iffy because this is occurring in a country that's not a NATO member. Yes, these are going to be NATO member countries in a foreign country so it's going to be kind of a gray area. I hope it doesn't. Listen, I'm fair. I hope it doesn't result in the breakup of NATO over this. I mean, it could theoretically.
It's Article 5.
Article 5. Yeah.
Since you're looking at something completely fucking different.
So.
Your apples were oranges.
I think that the best solution here is that what happens is that these countries think about it before they actually send these troops over there. I think the people in the country will let them know that they're not in favor of this.
They fucking better because it's going to be a fucking shit show.
It is. And if you look at the money,
and I hope none of ours go.
If you look at, I don't think. Listen, Trump's not. Listen, I think a cold day in hell. A very cold day in hell. Before Trump has already said we're not selling him material. Why would he send troops?
Why in the world? I'm just saying down the road. I just hope for our fucking people that we don't have to go over there and.
I hope they've had. I hope they've had enough of the killing. I hope Zelensky's had enough of the killing. He says, "How can I end this?" However, today he did say after the Europeans, promised him, if you look at the chart, some minuscule money. That he said this war, Zelensky's words, this war is going to go on for a very, 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 very long time. He said very a lot.
I think he said very, very far away.
Yeah, the peace is very, very far away. Well, the end of the war.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like someone that's looking for peace. Or
Zelensky says end of war still very, very far away.
It's like a galaxy. Yeah. So, I mean, far, far away. So
and Trump says it's the worst statement ever.
That's a terrible statement. So,
he wants to be in NATO.
I think
he doesn't want peace. He wants Ukraine in NATO, included,
which Russia has said is a non-starter.
That's non-negotiable.
To be fair, Finland, I believe, is a NATO member, and they're on Russia's border. But I think that the history between the Ukrainians and the Russians is such. Do I think Ukraine got? Also, I'm also fair enough. Unlike some people in comments, I'm fair enough to acknowledge. Did Ukraine get screwed after the Cold War? Yeah, because they were told, give up your nukes and we will make sure that you're secure. That's what was told to them.
Sure.
That didn't happen. There was no mechanism to make sure that they weren't invaded by Russia without consequences, was never put into place. I think Trump's deal on the minerals is probably the closest thing that would have made sure that happened. So they gave up all the Russian missiles that they had, gave them back to, I don't know where they sent them. I guess they gave them back to Russia. But so they had no nuke deterrence from Russia using Russia's materials. So that's a fact.
And that sucks.
And that sucks for them.
And that's shitty.
That's shitty. There's no, I think the argument could also be made. Do you want a government as corrupt as Ukraine has proven to be in possession of nuclear weapons? Meaning possibly sell them on the black market? I probably don't. What do you say, Dan?
No, I don't think it's a good idea.
So
I love the fact that one of the comments, not going to say, Putin invaded Ukraine for no reason.
No reason.
He can turn around and leave. Okay, all right. So we're talking about somebody that lives in Cincinnati in the 513 area.
So he's a
that
expert.
has.
Is he a Middle East? Has he been to Ukraine? What is
He's a fucking expert.
Have you? He's a Ukrainian expert. Okay, he's a Ukrainian expert. Actually,
Jesus fuck.
Not to defend Putin, the area that the area that is in question that Russia invaded is populated by mostly ethnic Russians that speak Russian, not Ukrainian. That's just a fact. That's why he invaded. And also the Crimea, he wanted flat out. We should have stood up to him. Now, need we remind that said person that's remember, the said person is now the Ukrainian expert on conflict. When did all this take place? Under who? Democrats. So they invaded Crimea under Democrats. They invaded Ukraine under Democrats. So the time to have been,
and he even said in that press conference, Obama, Trump, Biden, and he said, "God bless, Trump is back in." And then he fucked himself.
Yeah.
He literally stuck his own thumb up his ass.
He didn't
and fucked
want
himself.
Who, Zelensky?
Yeah,
he didn't want Trump back in. He did not want
fuck
Trump.
no, he didn't.
He wanted Biden. To win
that was how
wanted
easy?
Harris.
How easy? That was easy money for him.
Yeah, it was.
He wanted Harris in there so bad.
And you can only imagine what the intel that they might have had on his son. Given that his son was involved with Burisma and all the Ukrainian bullshit companies that he was on the board of. So hey, listen. I do not want to have foreign NATO member organized military units killed in Ukraine or in combat with Russian soldiers. I think it's going to end really badly, and then we're going to be in a pickle. But I do not see any way, shape, or form where Donald Trump says, "Oh my God, we got to invoke Article 5 and we're going to send U.S. troops over there." I don't see it happening.
I certainly hope it doesn't.
I don't see it happening. Do you really see that happening?
I do not see. I cannot foresee a day when something like that, and there's our friend Lady MAGA USA with a great post from over the weekend.
Is that 513?
No, that's Lady MAGA. But you've never talked to Lady MAGA USA.
I meant the picture.
No, that's Lady MAGA.
Okay, that's fine.
And so Ryan Wood is his real name, but
we love Lady MAGA.
It's a great post. I love that.
That is awesome. Just to throw a little bit of light in there, but
that's fun.
I mean, it's just so ignorant in the fact that nobody wants this, and they were trying to fucking fix it. And then guess what? It's like getting into an argument with your wife or your girlfriend or your fiance, where a mountain turns into a fucking molehill, and all of a sudden it's like we don't even know what we're fucking arguing about.
But some of the reporting about that meeting that Zelensky had with Democrats was saying that Susan Rice was involved in that, and she just got indignant over the weekend, talking about how she was not involved. She didn't have anything to do with it, claiming she's totally innocent of that. So, I don't know if that part is true, but I don't think there can be any doubt that Zelensky did meet with Democrats before he went to the White House, and we see the results. When he did indicate ahead of time he was ready to sign the deal, but he wanted to come and do it at the White House.
Right.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's a post that we saw. Now, I did go back, and that Chris Murphy said that that's not completely accurate and whatever. So I'll give like the 50-50 credence.
All
okay,
right.
Fine. But there was a reason that he came, and all of a sudden things changed. And why? And you can only direct. I mean, I don't have to be a goddamn police detective to direct myself to a clue. Somebody told him, like, "Hey, hold on, just hold off on it." So
the world is actually today.
Was that the soundbite you just had? Right? Is that the one where he says Americans are going to have to fight? Is that one right there?
That soundbite? Wait a second. Let me just say that soundbite. That before you play it, I just want to be fair. That soundbite, I posted it as well. Facebook flagged it and said it's misinformation, like it's not correctly.
I don't know.
Well, they say it's not. I don't speak Ukrainian,
and it may be,
and they say it's not correctly. Now, I don't want to
because I can't translate it,
and I don't speak Ukrainian, and I don't have the app on my phone. I have the cat app, but I don't have the Ukrainian app. I don't want until that's verified.
No, I agree.
I don't want to spread it, but it
I
is
was
being,
definitely not
it
gonna
is
play
being
that one.
reported that Zelensky has said that U.S. soldiers. I mean, and that's what's being.
Well,
reported.
I remember that soundbite coming out, and it seems like it was a year and a half ago, around that time when I first heard, because he was on some talk show somewhere, and it's amazing how a guy at war has all this time to do all the talk shows and everything else he does. But he was to whoever was doing the interview. He was saying that that Americans are going to have to come and fight and die in Ukraine. I remember him saying that. So whether it was AI or misinformation, I don't know, but I remember that. This is not like that resurfaced this weekend is not the first time that soundbite's been out there.
Right, and that I wasn't going to play it anyway, just because if I don't know what it's saying, I can't trust a translation. I mean, I think that's fair.
No, that is fair. That's 100% fair.
We try to be fair, even though some people in the chats don't think that we're fair. But
well, I mean,
we
some
try
people
to
in the
be.
chat. I mean, remember, Russia's a big country, and Ukraine is a small country.
That's fair.
And they invaded, and that's wrong.
So a friend of mine
Idiot
shared this post, and I want to read it, and it's a little bit of a long read, but I think it's worth it because once I read through it, I mean, it made sense in the fact of like bringing all of this somewhat together. I mean, it's we're obviously not tying a ribbon around all of it, but this is from a guy named Joel Mann. He's a CEO of a tech company. It says, many of you probably watched what took place between Donald Trump and Zelensky tonight. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you might be thinking to yourself, oh my God, Donald Trump just screwed up. However, as a lifelong practitioner of martial arts, strategy, and philosophy, let me explain the difference between what you believe you witnessed and what actually happened. Donald Trump has been under constant political persecution since the beginning of his first term. Over time, he has learned to be patient and calculated. Tonight, Zelensky was invited to the Oval Office. Oh, sorry. I was trying to make sure I shared it on screen. Okay. However, both Trump and J.D. Vance knew exactly what Zelensky was going to do. He would use this opportunity in front of the American people to make a power play. Both Trump and Vance anticipated this. When Zelensky began appealing to the emotions of the American people, J.D. Vance stepped in, accusing him of disrespecting Donald Trump. This was brilliant. This was a brilliant strategy. It's important to understand that Zelensky is trying to gain access to NATO. Trump knew this, but could not allow it to happen. If Ukraine joins NATO, the U.S. would be bound by NATO's collective defense agreement. An attack on one is an attack on all, which we talked about earlier. Now, consider the larger implications. Ukraine and Russia despise each other. If Ukraine were to become a NATO member, any future skirmish between them would obligate the U.S. to enter into direct conflict with Russia. This would mean World War III. And if it happened, China would have to choose a side. They would most certainly align with Russia. So which
would not be good.
Correct. So what you witnessed tonight was a setup. Trump and J.D. Vance knew that the only way to achieve peace was to strategically align, at least on the surface, with Russia. Why? Because Russia would never sign a peace treaty if Ukraine were admitted to NATO, which we all knew that. This is why Trump dismantled Zelensky's argument. When Zelensky, seeing his play was failing, tried to backtrack and offer a treaty, Trump refused. Zelensky's real intent was clear. He would not agree to peace unless security guarantees were in place. What was he actually saying? That NATO must accept Ukraine. However, Russia would never agree to peace, knowing that NATO, their historical adversary, would surround them. Zelensky, Putin, and Trump all knew this. Zelensky, thinking he had the Democrats' support, believed he could make this bold move on live television. But Trump and Vance saw right through it and outmaneuvered him. They knew that. In short term, Democrats and the media would try to use this moment against them. But they also knew they only had 2 years before midterms to prove their strategy was the right one. So they held their ground, brilliantly so. Now Zelensky will have no choice but to back down and accept Trump's term. But there's a genius part. Trump is actually protecting Ukraine without dragging the U.S. into war, which I think is absolutely true. My opinion, Jason's opinion.
Well, but how? Well, keep reading.
By negotiating a mineral deal, Trump ensures the Americans will be involved in Ukraine's mining industry. This prevents Russia from launching an invasion because attacking Ukraine would mean endangering American lives, something that would force the U.S. to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Trump played both sides like a master chess player. In the end, Zelensky will have no choice but to concede because without U.S. support, Ukraine cannot win a prolonged war against Russia. And once U.S. companies have mining operations in Ukraine, Putin will be unable to attack without triggering massive international consequences. Don't underestimate Donald Trump in this game of chess. He's 10 moves ahead of everybody.
And I think that underscores everything that we've been talking about
I thought that
during this entire podcast.
I thought that was very well written.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Joel Mann, but I did just a quick bit of research on him. He's not a fucking dumb person. I promise you.
But now where are we? I mean, I don't know if do you think Zelensky
Zelensky will be coming back.
You think he's coming back to the table? And
I think he's going to be coming back.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is. I mean, I hope
See,
I'm wrong.
I like this. I like this differential in opinion.
You mean here?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
but between us three, I like it.
No, well, I mean, look, I don't
want us to align on everything all the time.
I want you to always agree with me.
Well, it's never going to happen. So that's every time you say something, I hate it.
I don't know. I think at this point we got to hope there's someone.
I think he'll be back.
I think we got to hope there's someone in Ukraine that can tell Zelensky, what the score is.
Well,
because I don't think he's not seeing things clearly right.
Well, let's be fair. Do you think this guy who was an entertainer? We should show the videos.
I want to know.
We should show the videos.
I want to know what
guy.
I want to know what his.
I mean, it's really bad, like 1980s kind of stuff.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. Yeah. It's terrible TV. But do you really think this guy is the one pulling the strings in his country? Or do you think he's nothing more than a figurehead? I
don't know. I have no idea. But that's what I'm saying. I hope there's someone who can tell him someone who isn't as thoroughly corrupt as he is.
I want to know. I know
we've already covered this territory, but before the war started, there was no question in anyone's mind when it comes to corruption. There's no place on earth that can match what was going on in Ukraine.
Correct, which is why Joe Biden's son was there because he knew it was a corrupt place, and that's why he was getting paid mucho dinero to be on the board of a Ukrainian energy company when he had no experience and no background other than the fact that he was Joe Biden's son.
I would like to know where after 30 minutes after that meeting, where the impeachment call came from one of his.
Oh, it was almost instantaneous.
Yeah, it was 30 minutes after, but I haven't heard anything else after that.
Well, that guy's probably going to disappear.
Yeah, well, he's probably in a hole somewhere.
He's probably in a hole,
or he's been
he's on the front.
Been fitted with a
He's been sent to the front.
Yeah, he's been fitted with a bullshit kit and a gun that doesn't work.
The other thing about this war, I find, I mean, if you look, you don't have to look far, but since you'll talk about it, watch your feed now. It's going to pop up with nothing but Ukraine because you're talking in front of your phone, so it's going to have Ukraine videos.
Absolutely.
But what disturbs me also is this is not a conventional war. This is a war that's being fought primarily by drones, and they are using these drones even to take out as not necessarily they are blowing up cars and tanks, and you see the video from the drones, but they're also just one drone for one person. Like one person's running through a field, and the drone goes and takes them out. One person, and I'm like, this is the way this war is turning into being fought. It's so disturbing and heinous. I find it really concerning because maybe that's going to be the future war. I don't know.
I remember when I saw that video of that dude running from the drone, and I was thinking to myself, what other way does that end? I mean, that drone is airborne.
Mhm.
It's got you in its sights. It's tracking you wherever you go, and no matter where you run,
Can't hide from it.
it's gonna zoom in and zero in on wherever your position is, and it's gonna blow up. I mean,
It's fucking modern day Hunger Games.
is that what happened in Hunger Games? They had drones that would blow people up.
Oh,
They did?
Yes.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, it's
Which
great.
one was Hunger
It's a great
Games?
series.
Is that the Mockingbird thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's a great series. Great series. You guys should read the books, watch the movies. They're both
Read.
great.
I know
So-
my kids have watched it.
Well, so I mean, what did you put yourself in that poor guy's place for a second?
No, I was saying that. What I mean, how horrific
We
is
do
that,
it.
man?
We do it, but just from like fucking.
But you're not
15,000
flying
feet.
drones that blow people up.
I saw the guy.
No, we are flying drones at 15,000 feet
Oh,
that
yeah,
drop fucking bombs.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but I'm
Jason,
saying,
But
this
not
is
like-
even
not
this is
personal
more
drones.
personal. This is like,
but you don't see that coming.
Not like a DJI Mavic.
This guy saw that drone. He's zigging and zagging and
He's
trying to
running,
serpentine
he's
and all the
moving.
rest of it.
I get it.
And the moment
Warfare
he,
has
and then
changed.
the one video
I think he actually stepped in a hole, and the moment he stopped, that drone just dove right down on him and blew up, and that was it.
I saw
Warfare
similar
has
type
changed,
thing.
people.
horrific,
Well, it
man.
has changed. It's horrific, and I mean, you can't, like Dan was saying, you can't hide from this.
No.
And the thing is that I saw one, and the guy stopped. He looked up. He saw the drone, ran a bit, stopped, turned around, did his cross. He actually did a sign of a cross because he knew he was dead.
Mhm.
And then the video feed obviously zoomed in.
I guess the only chance you have if you've got a fully loaded clip and a Kalashnikov or a
It's called a magazine, not a
magazine,
clip.
magazine, whatever. I mean, you
You in the
unload
fucking military for fuck's
you
sakes.
unload that magazine, you try to take that thing down. I guess that's the only chance you have. But if you miss, and trust me, those things cannot be easily hit.
No. Why have you been shooting?
I've seen. I've
You've
seen
been
it
out
shoot.
there. You've been out there shooting.
No, but I've shot at moving objects before. It's not easy.
Not
It's
with
not easy
bullets.
to hit.
Maybe a shotgun would be better, but they don't have
with a
shotguns.
shotgun.
Bullets would be harder. Yeah, so
I know,
mean,
but I'm
agree.
saying that's what I'm saying. It's trying to get a moving target like that.
Oh, it'd be almost
Yeah.
impossible.
And if you have a skilled operator that knows how to, fly that thing,
It's concerning where we're at. It's telling where we're at, and I guess to Dan's point, the last thing you want is American troops over there being subject to the very same thing.
Which,
Remember,
that
I mean,
does
that would
not.
be terrible.
I know.
That does not need to happen.
No.
Absolutely not.
Nor do I want it to happen.
but Trump is not siding with Putin.
No.
He was getting Putin in a position, and there was a UN resolution that came out condemning Putin. I want to say it was one day last week, and the U.S. wouldn't sign on to it. Why? Because they were negotiating with Putin.
Right.
They weren't going to come out in the middle of their negotiations and queer this deal because they went to the UN and condemning Putin and Russia. I mean that would be ignorant and stupid for them to do that. But look how the UN is working against us
Oh well, there's no
to
question.
come out
Long history of that.
and you're telling me they couldn't recognize the timing of that,
They
and
could-
then they want to go ahead and push ahead with that resolution, trying to queer that deal. I don't know how much. I'm sure someone at the UN knew that was going on. Well, let's do this resolution. Let's have the United States be forced to say something bad about Putin. So it does not mean that Trump is aligning with Putin. And if someone like Greg Landsman, our congressman, wants to come out and say that that's what Trump is doing, then
Well,
I'm going to say, Greg Landsman, you are doing nothing more than reciting DNC talking points.
Has Greg Landsman done anything?
And you're
in
a
his
clown.
career other than recite DNC talking points?
No.
It's sad that not only Landsman, but maybe somebody in the chats that's an idiot. Maybe it's sad they can't just step back for a moment and say, what is the goal here? Is the goal to embarrass Trump at any and all cost, or is the goal to end the conflict? And I think if Democrats were definitely honest with themselves, they'd answer it that the goal for them, given this situation, is simply to try to smear Trump or besmirch Trump or somehow hurt Trump with this, which I don't think is going to work because I think Trump has the backing of the American people in this. And that's shown by poll after poll.
Popular vote.
Well, not only the election results of the election, Trump was widely supported in this, not by Democrats. They wouldn't support him, like Jason said Friday. If he pulled gold bricks from his anus, it would be the wrong size. But Trump is supported by the American public, who has no taste for sending troops, our soldiers, and even to a large extent, more material to Ukraine for an endless war. They do not want endless wars.
And it's not just that we're sending stuff over there, but
and it's being sold on the black market.
To this day, have we seen a legitimate accounting?
No.
of all that shit we've been sending over there?
I'm sure we will here soon.
From the very beginning, that's the only thing I've been asking for. I mean, I saw the necessity of not letting Putin prevail in this, but all I said was, if we're going to send all this stuff over there, let's just make sure it's being used for the intended purpose.
Right.
And the entire Biden administration, we saw zero accounting on this at all.
And there is perspective. They're selling half of everything.
Yeah, and now that they know that there might be a reckoning on this. Look who's got their backs up against it, and it begins with a big letter D. Democraps.
I thought you were going to spell Eagles.
Democrats.
E.G.
Democrats.
E.G.
Nice. Hey,
all right, I'm out.
But anyway, this show was, I thought we were going to talk about a couple other things. We didn't have time.
Oh my God, we've been over an hour on this.
I know, and so hopefully, look, let's.
We had a lot.
I hope everybody will, everyone will step back and think about it. What is the goal?
Do your research and tell us where we're wrong, though.
No,
I mean,
where it is your goal, and if the roles were reversed, would we be sitting here as I'll tell you this: if the roles were reversed, let's just say Biden's in charge, I would not be trying to smear Biden with this at the cost of American lives.
You would have never fucking heard about it.
Probably not.
You would have never fucking heard about it.
Probably
that
not.
fucking meeting, wouldn't have been live, for one. That fucking meeting in the Oval Office
would have never happened. There never would have been a rare earth mineral deal on the table.
Why is David J kissing your ass on the comments? I'm offended. I'm not fair, but Jason is fair. Jason's not fair.
Because
I'm
I am
fair.
fair.
I am fair.
You're not fair.
I'm the definition of fair.
Oh yeah.
You look up fair, that's my picture.
Hey, what's your Friday look like, Andrew?
Wide open.
Early, like 3:00 ish.
Hold on, let me check my schedule.
All right, cool.
I'm
Got
wide
it.
open.
Nailed it.
Dan, what are you? What's
I
your
can probably do that on Friday.
3:00 ish.
All right.
We will be back,
Why
everybody,
why so early?
because I have to go help with the fish fry down at the American Legion.
that's
Post.
big.
Oh, the fish fry's starting up.
First
Fish fry
one.
time.
That's a big announcement. How about tease the fish fry?
We're getting into Lent. Go down to Post 318 if you're around Anderson Township.
I remember they have been renowned. The 318 Post as one of the best fish fries on the east side of town. Good deal. Good fish. Good deal.
We like to think it's good.
Sorry, I said clip magazines.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's always magazine.
You're still dwelling on that, or did someone say?
I don't know.
something?
I'm just reading the David J. comment.
David
He's
J.
wearing
was
me out.
David J. That's not fair.
Well, he's in the military and realizes. And
Sorry, magazines.
I busted his ass because he was in the military. But we'll be we'll be back at we'll be back at 3:00 Friday Eastern. Hey guys, we appreciate everybody tuning in.
I think Friday we might even have a chance Friday to do a little with a teaser for the branching out of the after show.
Well, you and I
I'll probably just be in church all day.
You and I are going to talk after this. You and I are going to talk after this.
Stay? Okay.
Well, you don't have to.
All right, I will.
We can talk on the phone. I don't care. But
sext me.
We appreciate everybody. Thank you so much, and and again,
I'm gonna find another one of Andrew's
everybody in the
girlfriends.
chat.
Why don't you
Friday.
send me a text?
Jesus
you're going to do it
Christ.
again, aren't you?